smoke in the house.
And we're live.
What's up, guys?
Hey. So, Tim, why don't you go ahead and give them a little feedback on what happened?
Okay, we were going to have this Promethea hangout on my channel, the Howler Mouse channel, and I put on Twitter. That's what we were going to do. Put that on Twitter last couple of days. A few people said they might watch, but due to technical difficulties of Google on my end, which I'm not sure what it's doing, Google got so messed up it actually froze my phone up, and it had me down as a viewer on my own hangout. It wouldn't even let me really turn it on or do any more invites. So we jumped over here to Tim's stuff because he's got his shit together. So
I think that's the first time I've been accused of that. But yeah.
Wear it with pride, man. You were due.
Well,
So.
It's going to be a T-shirt. I'll get it printed tomorrow. Tim, I get together.
Yeah. So basically, what this was going to be titled on my channel was more or less Alan Moore's Promethea or Season of the Witch. So.
That's what I need.
Yeah, a pretty heavy book.
It is.
Yeah.
The reason why I started picking up Promethea was Cammie, Sleepy Reader. She suggested, she kept pushing and pushing and pushing on her channel the Batwoman stuff.
Yeah, Reader 1717. Yeah.
Not Sleepy, sorry.
That's okay.
Hi, Damien. And the art in that blew me away, and she's like, well, I'm glad you liked it. So I went back and I was looking for other stuff that he had done, and I have most of the ABC stuff that Alan Moore did. I have all the top 10, and I have all the Tom Strong, and I have some of like the 4-issue the miniseries, like Smacks and Toy Box and stuff like that. And
yes, those were outstanding. I've got almost all of those too. Almost all of those. Tom Strong's Terrific Tales, top 10. Smacks was Smacks, for people who don't know, is a cop from the top 10 where you go to like a fairy tale land where he's from, and it's like the ghetto. You start looking at the mushrooms that Smurfs live in and realize it's a ghetto.
Yeah, it's like it's the last stop on the train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think this, if I remember right, the way this came about, I haven't been YouTubing as much as I have. I binge watch, and if I do comments, I do them all at once. But we pretty much decided we were going to dedicate this whole hangout to Reader 1717, because when you think about it, she's one of the first females to be out here in the boys club, and she didn't really elbow her way in. She just fit right in, has done her own thing, and she's always kind of had her light shining just at the right time for a lot of people. And I think people forget how long she's been around. She's been doing YouTube for quite a few years. So this is for you, Cammie. I'll send her a message, make sure she knows it. So, but
yeah, I'll hit her up on Facebook. We're talking about her. Yeah, cool.
So Alan Moore's ABC line started around '99, and basically the whole line of comics from this ABC, which stands for America's Best Comics, was kind of his not his apology, but his way of making up for what he did to comics with Watchmen. He felt after Watchmen came out and he saw the effect it had on comics, he thought it kind of ripped the innocence out of comics, so he wanted to just come out with a fun line of comics, which goes back to like the pulp comics and everything that comics kind of drew from before they got huge. Make sure I'm not echoing here. And Promethea was actually, let's face it, did you find it was some heavy stuff with the issues you've read?
Yes, I did. Like the gender roles, like the mantle of Promethea goes from like one person to one person to one person.
Yeah.
And it's always a lady, except for when it was Bill. I just thought that was kind of interesting because now Bill is Promethea, and Promethea is this, usually sweetly clad, curvaceous woman. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And I try to do a little. Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I got my earphones on now. I can hear you better. Promethea he just decided he wanted to have a strong female character in all these books that he was coming out with. He mostly wrote almost all the ABC line for the first year or so. But
Right.
then a lot of people are split over this book because he kind of abandoned the plot line that he did in the first 12 issues with this character Promethea and Sophie Banks, the girl who was Promethea, because
Right.
the whole point of this series was that it was going to be a way for him to basically, Alan Moore is a sorcerer, warlock. I don't know what he terms himself, but he's more or less like a warlock in real life. He studies the occult and practices it. And he decided to use Promethea as a way of kind of giving lessons of his world of magic as he studied it. I mean, you know, when you get into Alan Moore, who he really is, and get away from the character as a writer and stuff, he's done some wicked stuff by everyday standards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's got religion in this, he's got occult in this, he's got gender roles in this, and it's not really a feminist book in a way. Alan Moore's always had a thing about females where when he in the 80s when he was married, he and his wife had a third person in their marriage. And in the 90s, that lover that he and his wife had, his wife and the lover left and took his kids. So,
Really?
you know, yeah. And he's had 2 daughters, and his daughter is now writing comics. Her name is Leah Moore. So it's not so much that Alan Moore is a feminist. I just don't think he ever really looked at gender roles, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't want to come off like this is a big feminist book. It's just, to me, it's like the book came out in 1999, and he was just writing real people who happen to be women. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's definitely a female voice in there, but that's because they're female, not because he was... I don't think he was really trying to prove anything one way or the other, you know.
Right.
So, yeah. So right off the bat with Promethea, well, how would you describe Promethea to people? Like, what is the basic story of her?
She's the embodiment of the spirit of imagination.
Right. The Immateria.
Yeah.
When did this thing start out, man? It was like, yeah, in the 5th century, like in Egypt or in Egypt. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it was when Christianity was taking over Egypt. So this is like back when.
Right. So the original Promethea was like this, I don't know, 5-year-old little girl living out in the desert with her dad.
Right.
And a bunch of Christians showed up and killed her dad because he was a heretic or something, a spellcaster or something.
Right. Yeah.
But I think Alan Moore got around creating controversy because it was almost like he was casting a Jedi mind trick on the Christians. The dad would say something, then the Christians would repeat it while they were hacking him up.
Yeah.
He runs off. Yeah, go ahead.
It was like Dad made it happen. It was like it was his decision. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the Christians.
And that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the one guy, you know, he was one of the Christians that ran him through was clearly upset and throws up at one point, but it was all afterwards. They were kind of dumbfounded about how all of it went down.
Yeah. And it was almost like he knew what was going to happen to his daughter. That's why he made it happen, because he told her the gods would take care of her. And he runs out in the desert and runs into a Greek god and an Egyptian god. But I think there was a third one there. I'm not sure.
No, it was 2 joined together. It was it was Hermes and what's his name? The Egyptian guy with the beard.
Yeah.
Not the beard, the beak. Something like that, yeah. Yeah, that's in issue 1.
Yeah, they called themselves Thoth Hermes. And I think I'm getting a third god because that staff is actually alive with the 2 snakes in it. So yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna be gone all afternoon, buddy.
So to protect her, they take her to the Immateria, which is where all stories come from. It's the land of imagination, like what you called. They called it Misty Mountain Land or something in there, somewhere along the line.
Yeah, Magic Misty Land or Mystic Magic something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
You need money for that, or you just take your own cards?
And then they immediately jump up to 1999, and what we don't know is this is the world of Tom Strong also. We didn't know there was a tight continuity. And what I liked what he did is that you got the Immateria that's all imagination and stuff, and he puts them in this world that's all about materialism and the symbols and stuff that are in here. or like for McDonald's and the weeping gorilla and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a real world kind of symbolism versus the magic and stuff that he gets into later on. You know, the two worlds. Sophie, who becomes the new Promethea, is from that real world, and then she ends up going into the materia, the imagination. I mean, it spins your head trying to talk about it, but when you read the book, man, you're like right in there with her, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense, but like trying to recount like what you've read after you read 15 issues in a row, it's like, I mean, I got it, but it's, yeah.
So I think this is his most personal work, and when you sit down and you read it, man, you end up absorbing it, and that's how Alan Moore writes comics. That's how it's supposed to be. If you're reading the comic, it makes perfect sense. But if you sit here and try to talk about it, man, you're going to lose people. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, the first thing that happens is that the Promethea, you've come to find out, is going to bring the end of the world, and all these demons get together. And I love what their name is. They have a name that I can't pronounce, but the English translation is the Howling. I'm like, yes, you know, like, you know. I was a young howler mouse back then, and when I read that, I'm like, this was meant to be, you know. And there's some evil stuff in there, man. I mean, this is like real. I mean, I'm not saying I believe in magic. I don't, you know. But where he's tapping into the stuff that he's learned, the occult that he's learned, these are some like badass little demons and stuff, you know. I mean, yeah.
And I thought it was kind of interesting when they first introduced him. It was like the guy that was leading the organization, like his minion was watching him talk to the rest of the demons, and he's like, "Who are you talking to?" So it was even like a hierarchy on that. It was like they weren't even all on the joke.
Yeah.
Know? So it was kind of interesting that they had to be in the know to understand what was going on, and that's kind of what you get when you read this. It's like you got to read it, but
yeah,
you can't really understand what's going on until you read it.
Yeah, what I got out of the first, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 issues, he was setting up for the later issues, like 14 and up, where they go through every plane of that tree of life, and every plane, and it's based on the Kabbalah. Is it the Kabbalah?
Right. Kabbalah, yeah.
Yeah, he takes you into each world of the Kabbalah, and then all of a sudden you can go back and read the more superhero stuff that he was setting up with the demons, and you kind of understand where they're from and what kind of world you're in. It's almost like Alan Moore was the magician on stage, and he's pulling back the curtain, showing us how the tricks work. You know,
yeah.
And this is stuff that people have studied for thousands of years. You know, I mean, yeah, it's definitely his most personal story. You know.
Yeah.
And as far as those demons you couldn't see and stuff, when you saw the real form, man, they were some evil-looking guys, man. That one guy had like the head of a white owl with a crown,
the flaming sword.
Body.
Yeah.
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 And what was the other one? Was he like a wolf or something?
Yeah, it was. No, the owl guy was riding the wolf.
That's
and
it.
The other guy,
yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It's crazy. Let's see. Yeah, it's the cover issue too. Those are the demons.
There they are. Yeah. All right. Okay, I got it right here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we talked about doing this, man, I could not believe it's been over 10 years since I read these. I mean, I read some of these issues and it was like yesterday, and then some of them I'm like, I completely forgot that stuff. You know?
Right.
So basically, you know, there's like little. I mean, you could actually like take each issue of this book and do an annotation and break it down page by page, and some of them panel by panel. And there's like real life history there, like going back thousands of years with Jewish religions and mysticism and all this stuff. So for Alan Moore to sit down and actually do this, I mean, this was a story I think he wrote for himself to get all this stuff out of his head. Did you? I don't know if you've read a lot of Alan Moore, but did you pick up on some of the stuff that it felt like at first he was repeating from his other works, like Swamp Thing and Miracle Man and stuff?
I haven't read a lot of I haven't read any Miracle Man, honestly, any of Alan Moore's Miracle Man, and I've read a couple issues of Swamp Thing, but there's themes in this that ran through Tom Strong too.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of like because in this they introduce what's going on with her, and then she's kind of isolated from it. She has to find her own way back, you know. And
Got you.
that was straight up Tom Strong. I mean, straight up Tom Strong.
And how many issues did you say you've read? First 24 or something?
Yeah, the first 24. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're spot on because you know, Tom Strong ends up popping up in there, coming after her.
Oh, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the last issue, it's not the official last issue, but the last issue of the ABC Universe takes place. It goes from the last issue of Promethea to Tom Strong number 36. You see his point of what happened. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
you were dead on, dead on.
I'll
Well
pull that
played.
out.
You get a cookie, you know.
Yay.
But
I like
so I mean, just for the podcast, you know, get to them, you know, I'll relax a little bit here and stuff. But basically, the first I don't know, 10 issues is basically what I felt like. Okay, to slow it down, what I felt like is I felt like I was reading Shazam, because to turn into Promethea, you've got to be creative. Some people over centuries, they go into all the Prometheas that have been out there, and Sophie Banks meets them in the Immateria. And the way Sophie Banks turns into Prometheus is that she's got to write a poem. Some people need to draw, some people need to be inspired, sing a song, write music, or whatever's going on. So she gets told by the other Prometheus, you need to learn magic. And they bring up this nasty guy named Jack Frost. I think that's his name.
Yeah, that was his name. Skeezy dude.
Yeah, the skeezy dude, man. And I think he was using glamour when he first met her to make himself look good looking. And then you find out he's bald, wrinkly, probably mean about 20 years. Just take that in. And to take her on to the world of magic, you know, this 16-year-old girl or however old she is has to sleep with this dirty, nasty, skeezy old man. And that's part of the magic. You got to sleep with the wizard. And his whole job is that he reads tarot cards and stuff, you know. So there's like an issue or two where Sophie is talking to her friend, and her friend's like, you slut, you're not going to sleep with him, you know. And she's like, you know, she really thinks hard about it, and basically she ends up doing it, you know.
Huh.
And right there, I felt like I went back to his Swamp Thing days, where Swamp Thing slept with Abby, and she ate the tumor, and her vision changed. She was like on an LSD trip and saw all the lights in the swamp and everything like that.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll have to check that out. I mean, all the Swamp Thing stuff is on my list. It's just I tried to get into one of the trades I picked up from the library of his, and I don't know. It didn't really do much for me.
Well, it's funny. When Swamp Thing came out, it's like really acclaimed now. But I remember when Swamp Thing came out, and not everybody jumped on board when it came out, man. They were like, what the hell is this? Or they just ignored it. It didn't really pop until 85, and he started in 83, man. So that's like a natural reaction. That's how people reacted when it came out on the stands. Like, what the hell is this? Alan Moore did not become a sensation overnight. You know, he was an acquired taste back then.
Yeah.
You know, really acquired. A lot of people either loved it or hated it, and the people that loved it were into like the heavy metal. They liked the idea of the nasty bugs and demons and stuff that were popping up.
Right.
Yeah. But it feels like he pulled a lot from. I thought he was repeating himself with a lot of this stuff, but I think what it is that he was taking back what he had to put in this story. He like took bits and pieces of what this story would have been, and he spread them out over his other comics over the years, and he's like took them back like this is where they were supposed to be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Now, you know, we've talked about the Promethea thing. The next thing we talk about would be like that Tree of Life, and there's some deep issues. But you want to talk about the art, J.H. Williams' art?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what put him on the map. This is what put him on the map, man. So, like, go, man. What do you think about his art and stuff?
I love it. His Batwoman stuff is amazing. It's hands down some of the best stuff I've seen ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I think the Mick Gray guy that they had ink his stuff for Promethea didn't really do it justice. I mean, there's a couple covers where you can see like his pencils were maybe a little tighter than the rest of them. Yeah. So it was easier for Mick Gray to finish it off. But like, there's a couple where I'm like, dude, really? Here you go. Example. Issue 4. Like the inks on this cover are just terrible. And you know, we're all fans of J.H. Williams, so we know what he's capable of doing, and for this to be the end product just kind of seemed like a sad.
Yeah.
Like almost like a desecration. But the awesome layouts and the flow and the storytelling and everything is still in there. It's just kind of a little muddled. But yeah, it's you can see the roots of all the awesome stuff he's doing now. Like Sandman Overture, it's all in here.
I think like about 2 or 3 months ago, I picked up this book called Cronus or something from the 90s. And it was part of a crossover. It was Cronus 1 Million or something like that. I probably got the name wrong. And you would never have thought that J.H. Williams' art in that he would be the superstar capable of doing what he did in all these issues of Promethea. Because to me, this is where he came out with those big 2-page spreads that look muddled. But once you start getting into it, everything's exactly where it needs to be. You know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a real good issue here to show one of those spreads, man. But
I want to say there's a pretty cool one. I want to say it was in issue 3 when she goes to find the writer's widow for her thesis paper, and she's like walking up to the apartment. Is it before or after? Okay, so it's not issue 3 because issue 3 the lady's already in the hospital, so it would be issue 2. I just thought that was great. Or like while I'm looking, this just reminded me because they show up in the first page of issue 2. The heroes.
Yeah.
In Promethea, what are they called? Like the 5 okay guys.
5 swell guys.
The 5 swell guys.
With one guy, it's been turned into a woman. You know. Yeah. I kind of think they were the comic relief of over all this heavy stuff, but he didn't go slapstick with them.
Right. Yeah, because they're always in fight. Or they never really do. I mean, they do stuff, but you never see it. It's all like dialogue. Yeah. Everything is the narration in this book is beamed in like bulletins on like the news and stuff like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
So they're always talking about the 5 swell guys and how Robert and this guy aren't talking to each other, and this person just got his ass kicked.
I think that's like Alan Moore, like giving an ode back to the Fantastic Four and Marvel with the way they all fight. But the 5 swell guys just wear suits and they float around on this pad like out of Johnny Quest or something. And one of them has been turned into a woman, which I think she's like the thing. But what was so funny is that in a later issue, 2 of them are fighting because one of the swell guys got drunk at a Christmas party, and she was standing under mistletoe, and he went for it. You know.
Yeah, this. I mean, here's an example of like an awesome 2-page spread. This is from issue 1, and I mean, you can totally see where he's going with his art. You know, you have it's not the most inventive, but it's a lot more inventive than what most people were doing in '99.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's like the nugget.
What gets me is that he can do these complex drawings, and he's in total control. Like here's one from issue 15, where they're in one level of the Tree of Life, and on this one I think they're in the 8th level, and it's the infinity symbol, and I hope this shows up. But like it's just 2 pages, a stone statue of the infinity symbol, and he's got them just walking through it, and the dialogue is perfect. You can follow it perfect. You know, and this isn't even his trippy stuff. You know, this is still the J.H. Williams style. There's a couple issues where he's the perfect chameleon, man. He starts drawing in different, techniques, using the colors and stuff. I mean, it's one of those things where you can't explain. You just got to show it. I mean, here's a whole bunch of gods in chrome metal. You know, it looks like a mess until you sit down and just look at it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing about the series. He had this plot going for like 10 issues, and then he just dropped it and started having each issue be in a part of that Tree of Life. And then he picked up, around 25, he finally finished everything. And that's where it lost a lot of people, man, because all of a sudden it was like a magic lesson. Like here's a lesson in the Cabal.
Yeah.
And each cover, I did the thing, each cover is an homage to an artist and stuff. The one that really cracked me up was issue 7 here, where it's like the 50s romance comics, and you find out that this Promethea is a guy who's drawn the Promethea. Bill.
Yeah.
Bill was a gay man in the 50s, and every time he would get inspired and start drawing the comic book at home, he would turn into Promethea. And this FBI agent, who was Steve Trevor, in my opinion, Wonder Woman Steve Trevor, did not know that he didn't know that it was really a man.
Right.
And it even said in the book, it said he didn't want to be a woman, he wanted to be a goddess, and that's why it worked. And he ended up getting killed. The FBI agent found out, and there's this all of a sudden they started using pictures of real people to tell their story, and he freaking blows his brains out when he finds out that it's he's a man. Yeah, if that shows up. I don't know who these people were, but they started getting models, and they told this Prometheus story with real people. And he's at his drawing board doing the comic book, and the FBI agent is crying and blows his head off.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, that's fun. Way to go, man. And I love this issue. I loved how he sucks us in before we know she's a woman, that the woman is really a man. Alan Moore's got her just all dolled up, looking beautiful, this great big, huge, gorgeous girl, And then we find out. Then we find out later. Well, it's a man. So
Yeah, it's Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Bill. Yeah. You like that story. I cannot remember his name. You're like, it's Bill, man. It's Bill. Like Bill. It's an old friend, man. It's Bill.
I just thought it was great because when they first show up at in the what is it, Immateria?
Yeah.
First shows up at Immateria, and they're all sitting around the lake, the little pond, drinking the fairy liquor.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is Claire, this is whoever, and that's Bill. And Bill's like, hey. I thought it was funny. And they're all like, yeah, Bill, you're fabulous. We get it. Sure, yeah. And from that point on, I'm like, yeah, it's Bill. It's Bill. That's Bill. That's Bill.
That's our diva. This is the colorful one. And I didn't think about it, man, but the other Prometheas are some rough bitches, man. And I say that lovingly. Right. Don't get me wrong, Betty, is it Betty the first one? She's the plump one. I mean, he actually titled her story The Fat Lady Sings. The first one. Man, she's rough, man. Sophie went to interview her for a paper on Promethea, and she's like, you don't want to talk about what did she say? You don't want to ask questions about mythology, or the mythology will come after you, or something like that.
Right.
And Sophie, that Shmee, this living shadow, nasty demon thing that would rape you, disembowel you, and kill you, and you'd be lucky if it was in that order. All of a sudden, this big lady that she was talking to pops out of there, and it's a big, beautiful woman, of Promethea, and she is rough, man. That woman will spit, kick, and then tell you how to go to hell 15 different ways, and every one of them is colorful. You know what I mean? These were some rough. I loved her the most. You got Bill, I got the redneck.
Well, the World War II version. I can't for the life of me remember her name.
I don't know, man. I've probably got it right here, man. But that was war as hell, man. Was it Barbara? Yeah. Barbara is the one that I like. I bet that's Stacia. Grace.
She was cool
I don't know. But there's a bunch of them, man. But once you read it, man, they look so different. It's you're not going to get confused. Yeah. Each issue is written to where it's kind of self-contained. But that World War II issue, what do you think of it?
It was great. I mean, it was depressing, but it's depressing. I think is good because you're emotionally invested in it enough to care.
Yeah.
And it sucked for that dude. I don't want to give it away, but it was pretty cool.
I kind of remember, man. I just flipped through this thing last week, but
it's like they're in the trenches, and he's the last one left, so he's kind of just he's lost his shit, and he's talking to his dead buddies.
Yeah.
And then he sees, what's her name? What's her name? Claire? I think her name is Claire.
Yeah.
And then she's just wearing the Spartan helmet and the scarf.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So she kind of takes him away from all that into the light. It was good.
And I love the art in this one because it looked like he tapped Pink Floyd The Wall to me, man. I was seeing marching hammers and shit, you know. I was waiting,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, in this one, man, this is where I think his art really popped in issue 5. I mean, everything else he's had was great and has some good stuff. But, man, this is where it just got, I mean, this is a freaking, what do you call this, montage of war, you know.
Yeah.
Just
That screams The Wall, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a field of skulls. It's got crows. They're sitting there, you know, Nazis, little helmets, German helmets with nothing but, you know, legs and boots and stuff, man. I mean, J.H. Williams definitely came out on his own. Then you turn the page, he's got the 4 horsemen of apocalypse coming at you, you know. And it's all symbolic. That's the biggest thing about this book. It's all symbols and stuff, man. But, yeah, the characters like Bill and stuff. I'm appreciating Bill now that you gave me a voice in my head, you know, like... Yeah, I've got a friend or two that's them. I'm gonna end up calling them Bill next time I see him, man. I'm gonna be like, sorry, man, it's a long story, you know. I'm fabulous. Oh my God, man. But I don't know if you'll pick it up, man, but like the covers that J.H. Williams was doing, where he was like a chameleon. He was taking like Van Gogh. He was taking Van Gogh pictures and Terry Gilliam and all these other names that are escaping me, and it was like an homage to their famous paintings. So they came out with this book that is nothing but his covers, and they flipped it. They gave you panels on the outside, and when you open it up, it's just every one of his covers from the series. You know, they're just beautiful. So he made double the money on that, you know. Yeah, this is number Omega, man, but yeah, this is nothing but just all his fantastic covers that he did for this.
That's awesome. I have a couple copies of that.
Yeah.
This looked familiar, but for the life of me, I couldn't place what it was. But I knew it was an homage to something. But like I said, I couldn't place it. This is issue 8.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom corner, he'll say after Gilliam. That's from Monty Python, Terry Gilliam.
All right. Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah.
And I don't know if you got any Frankenstein agent or whatever his name, Frankenstein from the New 52. There's another cover where they do that with the Frankenstein. Okay. I actually had. I don't know. They're probably upstairs. I found 3 or 4 covers that came out within 2 years where they were doing Terry Gilliam like that same cover.
Nice.
Yeah. Now this is the one I liked, man. When he got this was good because this is issue 27 and it's an homage to the first time Superman met Spider-Man. But I think this is their way of telling you we're off the magic. We've gone through all the levels of the Cabal. Now we're back to the superhero stuff. We're back on the plot. So for like, I don't know, man, 16 issues in probably like 3 years, Alan Moore just kind of abandoned the plot, and then they came back to it later, you know. And, you know, that's what got me, so.
And that makes sense because Tom Strong is the quote-unquote science hero.
Yeah. And I'm not going to ruin anything for you. I have not actually read the last issue because this last issue of Promethea, I think it's number 32, you can read it straight through. And I found them online. You can look them up online, or you can take this book apart, and it makes this gigantic poster with 2 sides to it, or 2 posters, and you can read it that way. There's like 3 or 4 different ways to read this last issue. Yeah. And I've seen people online who just bought this book, unfolded them, put them together, and they just postered them and put them on their wall because it's nothing but great big, huge, gigantic little white figures against colors of blue and red and stuff, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's just I've never read this because I'm not going to take this one apart until I get a couple more. You know? Right.
And the price that those are going for, I wouldn't take it apart either.
Oh, really? Are they worth something?
Yeah, they're worth something. Yeah.
All right. The Promethea I kind of liked, man, was number 6 here. This was a Promethea after the World War I.
Right.
And it's like those pulp novels like Edgar Rice Burroughs and maybe just a touch of Conan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even The Wizard. I mean, he even went for kind of a... I mean, this feels like a 1926
Arabian Nights kind of...
Yeah,
Lawrence of Arabia kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is before Ming the Merciless. You know, the next step for a bad guy was from this wizard to Ming the Merciless. You know what I mean? I was like, Alan Moore captured that little era perfectly, man. You know, I'm just going to rip through these now, man. Am I talking too much?
No.
Okay. No. There's the Terry Gilliam. Here's the stained glass one. This is the one that made me think of you when I got in there. So, you know,
Issue 9. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And I think it was around these issues, man, where Sophie, the new Promethea, figured out a way to fight all these demons and to save the city. The painted doll, remember the painted doll?
Mhm.
He was. I liked him, man. He was. I thought he was a Joker ripoff when I first read him, and then he had his own thing, man. He was just more focused lunatic. But she brought in. She started getting inspired and wanted to turn into Promethea. But she brought all the Prometheas together like a Justice League of Promethea, and they were all like, nobody's ever thought of that, you know. Here's the Sergeant Pepper's one, the Lonely
Yeah.
Hearts Club.
And it's crazy because you can, like, here's a perfect example. We have 10 and 11.
Yeah.
And if you look at the art of 10 and 11,
Yeah.
it doesn't even look like it's the same person, like artistically.
Yeah.
You know? Like the art style is like so varied.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then you got, like, and what he's talking about is like, this one's a Mars Attack. This was told in total widescreen. And I'm not going to lie, this one was hard to read. I skimmed through this one. I don't know why. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. It just didn't really grab me. Probably if I read it again, I'd be all right. But you go from, you know, what you were talking about, from an homage to the Beatles to a 50s sci-fi, you know, trading card. And all of a sudden, man, he turns around and gives us, you know, the 60s sci-fi poster that, you know, I would be expecting Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin to be hanging out at.
Yeah.
So. And then he did like this, I don't know what this is. This is like 16th century scratch work. I don't know what the term for it is, man. But every homage of every cover he did, man, it's like he looks like a master of it, you know.
Yeah. It's like, what do you call that? Like an etching or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Virgil Finley, if there's any, like, you know, art enthusiasts out there. Yeah. But, like, it just kind of gets me back. And, like, a book like this really kind of makes me uninterested in a lot of the newer books coming out. Because you got something like this, it's got depth, it has something to say, it's a little bit of a, you know, it kind of challenges you when you read it. You know, and then you got, like, I'm not going to mention any names, but, you know, pick up any Batman book. You know, you can read it and, like, yeah, Nova. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you sit down with one of these. You sit down with one of these books, and you're in for a good 20 or 30 minutes. Plus, you'll reread it. Any other book, man, you just kind of pick up, and it's, you know, I've read comic books I've read like 5 comic books in 6 minutes at the comic book store, and remembered every little thing that happened to him because nothing really happened. You know.
Yeah.
No. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm all pumped about Promethea now. Uh-oh. He's looking at something.
I was just looking at the cover to 15.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the God.
Yeah.
This is cool. I mean, like I said initially, what it was is the art got me into this book. I mean, I have a lot of Alan Moore in my collection, but for whatever reason, it was just after reading all of Tom Strong and all of Top 10 and everything, I was like, that's cool. I get the feeling of what he's trying to do in ABC. You know? So another ABC book on top of all of that just kind of seemed a little regurgitative.
Yeah.
But this is nothing like Tom Strong or Top 10 or any of that stuff. I mean, this is great stuff. And then to find out that J.H. Williams III did the art, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's where J.H. Williams really started, man. I mean, he went for it. I don't know what inspired him. I don't know if it was Alan Moore saw something in him or what it is. There's an issue where they're in the Immateria. I think it's the Moon River one when they're on the moon. It might be this one right here. But J.H. Williams drew him and Alan Moore shaking hands in it. You know, he snuck it in there. There's like little Easter eggs in all those. The issue you held up a minute ago, let me find it here. The one with they're underwater.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about with the symbols and stuff. That's the one where they started like walking into the water. Half the book is drawn like that cover, and it's an emotion. It's an ocean of emotion, and they start like bawling and having regrets and just losing their shit emotionally, on that realm of the tree of life that they're in,
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think of the weeping gorilla that's in there?
I mean, it was. I could see what it is. It's all a metaphor, but it was. I don't know. There's a point where it kind of seems like he pushes stuff a little bit too far. It's like too much, and I could have maybe done without half of what the Weeping Gorilla was, unless I missed something. Because, like I said, I haven't caught up with all of them. But
That's cool.
It's all self-doubt. It's all, like in what is it? The first issue when she runs into Little Red Riding Hood in the Immateria, whatever. I'm sorry.
Didn't she have a machine gun?
Yeah, a Uzi. She pulls an Uzi.
Yeah. She's like, I've been in these woods for 500 years going to my grandma's. Fuck it.
I got something for the wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, you made me look like this. Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Oh, that's funny, man. That Weeping Gorilla is on billboards and stuff, and apparently that's like the #1 comic or something in there.
Yeah.
And but the Weeping Gorilla in the '60s, they found out that the comic books that sold the most had one of two things, if not both. They had a gorilla on the cover, or they were purple.
Right.
So the Weeping Gorilla, I think, to him is saying this is what would have happened to comics if it wasn't for like superheroes and stuff or something. They'd been little whiny, crying, self-doubtful apes.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she? And what got me is like it was fun to like find the billboards with the comics because you just see this crying gorilla saying stuff like, "Why doesn't she love me?" Why did I get fired?
I'm just trying to figure out what she wants. Yeah.
I mean, it got to the point where I'm sitting here like, this is bizarre. I'm laughing at the saddest shit in this book.
Right.
And then to see Sylvia, Sophie's friend, like she gets in the Immateria, and right in front of her is a weeping gorilla, full grown, just looking at her, hypnotizing her, and she's sitting there crying with the gorilla. So it's a girl and a giant monkey crying, and I'm like, what am I looking at here?
What is this book?
What are you saying, Alan? Oh man. Oh my God. I wish I brought down my Tom Strong and Top 10 books now, man, because like I'm ready to talk about those.
Yeah. We could do another one about that if you want to. I mean, there's so much great stuff in Tom Strong, and it's funny because now it seems like a lot of comics, at least lately, you need the 14-page or the 14-issue story arc kind of thing. And there's some great stuff in Tom Strong where it was like Brubaker wrote 2 issues of Tom Strong.
Oh yeah, that's one where Tom Strong woke up in the real world. He was like this blue-collar worker. Is that the same one?
Yeah. And it's great.
Oh.
And it's self-contained in 2 issues. And then like Brian K. Vaughan wrote 1 issue of Tom Strong, and it was brilliant. But I mean, most of that stuff with Tom Strong is, the first couple of issues is origin, and then it's 1 issue and it's self-contained, and then the next issue is self-contained. It's cool. And
he always calls back to something he put in like for 1 issue. Like a year later he would call back to it. Like who was it? They fought the Lava Men, and their prince was there. Fell in love with Tom Strong's daughter. And then like 10 issues later he pops back up and you didn't see it coming. Like. Yeah. There was a plan. That's what gets me about all these ABC books, man. You don't think there's a plan. They look like just random 1 or 2 issue stories, like what you're talking about. Yeah. And then he freaking brings it all together. Yeah.
Or like, have you read the 49ers?
Yeah. The hardback.
Yeah. So you read that, or I read that after I read Top 10. And reading it like made more sense for what was going on in Top 10, and that was years later. It was like, because in Top 10 they were always talking about the people that built the city.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of that, but then they showed the people building the city, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I get
Yeah.
it.
In top 10, I think that is one of Alan Moore's most underrated humanistic works, man. He didn't really go
Yeah.
anywhere wild. It's the opposite of
No.
Promethea, man.
Yeah.
It was a story of a boy in the 40s coming to the big city that they're building. And for people that don't know, top 10, you thought it was a whole world where everybody had powers, and it was like Hill Street Blues
Right.
meets a world with everybody's got superpowers, full of Easter eggs. And you come to find out that after the World War II, they got everybody that had powers and outlawed powers and made them live in this city. You know. But anyway, but this one kid shows up. He's got some powers, and it ends up being a love story between two men in the 1940s and 50s.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not waving the flag for anything or anything like that, but it was a real touching, sweet story in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And for it to come from Alan Moore just blew me away.
Yeah.
After all the stuff he did in Promethea and all the pulp stuff he did in Tom Strong and
Yeah.
all stuff like that, and all of a sudden he comes out with this story where you don't care about the superheroes, man. You're like, this was about people.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. Oh man, I just about whipped that out last week and read it, and I stuck with Promethea. So
Awesome.
I found my copy for like $3 at a flea market. I was real happy. So,
The 49ers, yeah, I think I got mine for like $5.
yeah,
Something. Yeah.
yeah. I see Tom Strong and stuff in quarter bins and dollar bins all the time, and I'm like, people don't know what they're missing.
No, I got the whole lot of that. I mean, I had a couple issues, and then I was upgrading them, so I was on eBay, and I found a whole run of Tom Strong, and I think I got it for like $16.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Trying to think, did you read Tom's Terrific Tales?
A couple of them, yeah. It was that. I think a couple of them I have weren't done by Alan Moore. It was somebody else, but what's his name?
His last name's
Chris.
Moore. Yeah, that sounds right.
The guy that did the art for Tom Strong was doing.
Chris Sprouse was doing the art.
Yeah, he's still the ones I remember reading. It was still his art, but it wasn't Alan Moore's writing.
Yeah, he had a couple guys. I think a guy named Peter Hogan wrote for that stuff. Terry Moore, no relation to him. But there's a backup feature. Tom's Terrific Tales is only 12 issues. That's why I think it's great to go get those. But in the back of them, they had this little story going on with Joni Future, and they had Art Adams doing the art.
Nice.
And Joni Future, it was really cool, man. She goes to like her uncle's or something's house that she inherits, and on top of the house, coming out of the attic, is just this bridge that goes nowhere. When you get in the house and stuff, and you go across that bridge, she finds this uniform and stuff, and she's all sexy. And it turns out that her uncle was a Pulp Fiction writer, like Philip Jose Farmer and Edgar Rice Burroughs. And you go into those books and stuff with her. And she's got like this, stuff like that, yeah.
Baby, come see me.
Yeah, I got a whole shelf over here that's got, where is it? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, there it is. That shelf is full of that stuff, yeah. And, but what got me is that she had a sidekick, man. It was a cheetah man, just a cheetah that walked like a man and talked like a man with a British accent or something. And the whole time, if you pay attention to the background of the panels and the way he looks at her, he was just like wanting her the whole time. I was like, what a lustful creature, I was like, And I think that was some of Art Adams' best work, and I can't believe that book didn't blow up with what they had going on in there.
Yeah.
Baby.
Well, I mean, Art Adams is a hard sell for some people.
Are you serious?
I don't know why. Yeah, it's either you love him or you hate him. I mean, I picked up stuff just because he's done the cover. That was enough for me. I'll spend $1 on Arthur Adams cover all day.
Not to get off topic here, man, but when it comes to Art Adams, I actually think his best artwork were doing the covers and these little inserts on the inside and back covers of the classic X-Men. I mean, that's the Art Adams I always wanted, man. Those classic X-Men covers he did, oh my God, they were so good.
That, like the Dazzler stuff and Long Shot. Yeah. He did a couple pictures of like the X-Babies and Mojo. Yeah, that stuff was great.
I have a ton of his stuff upstairs, man. I always hated that he wasn't on like a regular book, and then I found out he's real slow.
Yeah.
And in those Tom Terrific Tales, man, I mean, his stories are probably only 7 pages a piece or something in those books, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, you put them together, man, and the Joni Future stuff is like, I mean, that's an unheralded little story, man. I think if they collected those in one little volume, man, I think people would be like, hey, this rocks, you know.
Cool. Well, I mean, like, back to this guy, he's super slow too. I mean, like, it's 2.5 days a page for him, and it's like a day for most.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you know it's kind of wild, man, because J.H. Williams, this book went from a monthly to bi-monthly to where I don't know, man, coming out maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the guy makes a living, man. He must like get paid a little bit more or something, because well, like what you're saying, his pay, what'd you say, 2.5 days to do 1 page?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's unreal, man. But it's kind of wild. He pops on this book. I mean, he really came out of nowhere. He wasn't even on anybody's radar before Promethea. And he works with Alan Moore. Now the guy, here it is, you know, he's been working with Neil Gaiman trying to get 6 issues out for 2 years,
2 years.
now.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, I have no proof, and it's just my speculation, but I think it's where they ripped Batwoman off of him. I'm telling you, that's got something to do with it. You know, when they took him off of Batwoman, didn't let him finish his story and have Batwoman get married and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's got something to do with him. I think he's holding out or something. You know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if he's holding out, I want to see what he does then, because his Sandman Overture stuff is great. I mean, I'll wait 3 months for an issue of that, 4 months for an issue of that. That stuff's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. That first issue, Neil Gaiman said that he purposely gave him something hard to draw because he likes to kind of, he respects the artist, but when it comes to the work, he wants to show them who's boss.
Right.
So when he wrote that first issue of Sandman Overture, he wrote this page about how the Sandman was coming up like a flower and all this stuff. And he said when he got the pages handed to him, he was just like, okay, this guy just kicked me in the ass. Neil Gaiman was like, okay, I see what I'm dealing with now, you know.
Yeah, what do you want to draw now? Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, you know, pardon me, my bad, you know.
Sorry, sir.
Oh, so good. But I just wish J.H. Williams had more, man. I really do. So.
Yeah, his bibliography is not very big, but you know, or he'll start something and he won't finish it. Like Desolation Jones, that was 12 issues, and I think he only did like the first 4 or 5 or something, 6 maybe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I just now got your text to send you another invite, just letting you know I wasn't ignoring you.
Thanks.
All right, that's Neil Adams late. All right.
That's funny.
Oh man! And somebody told me they'll call me. They're home. They'll call me later. Okay. I love all that stuff, man. All right. Well, I tell you what, man. I don't know if I got much more to say about Promethea, man. So, like, if you were going to tell somebody something about Promethea, what would you tell them?
Pick up the trade.
Get the trade.
Get the trade. That way you could read it all at once. And
yeah.
You know, if you, I mean, I want everybody to read it because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's you have to be in the mood to become invested.
Yeah.
Because some of it's great and some of it's kind of hard to get through because it's like emotionally gut wrenching, but it's awesome. Everybody comes out the other side and it's all good. It's great.
Yeah, man. It's 32 issues. He makes this one little world. And what's good about it is, like, I like what you said, man. It's something you can invest yourself in reading, and it pays off. You know, you don't waste your time with this, man. It's some issues are more fascinating than the others. If there's an issue you don't like, just go on to the next one, man. Because like it's so rich and diverse, and I mean, Alan Moore and J.H. Williams are like chameleons in this thing. Art styles, writing styles. Yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah.
Let's say somebody picks up this issue. Like, they go to the shop tomorrow and they find it for $1, and they're reading it, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, she was cool, but that one supporting character, not so much. I don't think I'm going to pick it up. That person, the next time you see them, will not be like that.
Yeah.
It's everybody kind of gets developed. Everybody has their own personality. It's usually you start out liking them, and towards the end you hate them. or you didn't like them and then you did like them, or you were kind of in the middle of the road and then you're like rooting for them, like 10 issues later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a theme he has going on this. The biggest theme in here is like everything changes. Okay?
Yeah.
I might get deep in a minute, man. Are you prepared? You know, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
but the thing, I think one of the main themes in this is that everything does change. And in my opinion, when a woman touches something, no matter what she touches, she transforms it, you know. And I don't want to give away, but it says that, you know, the whole thing about Prometheus, she's going to destroy the universe. I'm not going to give it away, but she doesn't destroy it. She changes it. You know, that's not giving away anything. So this big fear that everybody had about her, like, bringing the end of the world. And the FBI agent that, like, causes all this, her name's Lucille Ball. That's what cracked me up. But anyway, I don't know where that came from. But, yeah, the whole thing is that everything is flowing, everything changes, and everybody needs to try to, like, go up. What Alan Moore is saying is that it's a psychological state that when you go through the tree of life, you come out changed on the other end. And I think that's what he's trying to say about magic, is that it makes you open your mind, and change is hard, change is scary, but if you can come through it, you're better for it, you know. Like did you watch V for Vendetta? Did you watch the movie or read the book?
I did.
Well, that's what
I watched the movie and I read the book, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did in V for Vendetta when he got Evie and locked her up, shaved her head, and gave her the little toilet papers and stuff.
Yeah.
When she came out, she had a big breakdown, and he took her out in the rain and stuff because she was being reborn through change. He got in her head and changed her. Yeah. And that's going back to this stuff that Alan Moore believes with the, you know, change in his magic and stuff. Everything changes and everything. That's a big theme in it. And you saw how Evie broke down and stuff, and that's what he's saying. That's why people don't become everything they can be, because it's terrifying to change. Right. You know, it's an apocalypse coming at you and at yourself and your world. You know. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, you can actually go back and read this, and I think you read Promethea, and I think if you really take it in, you can understand all this other Alan Moore stuff that he's wrote before. You know. Yeah. So, you know, Swamp Thing even went through it, you know. Swamp Thing was like, why am I running after my humanity? I'll just sit here in the swamp and be a plant, you know. Yeah. Which the way things are going, that's not a bad idea. But anyway.
Awesome.
Oh, man. All righty. Okay, that's everything I had to say, man. You know,
cool.
I think that's it, yeah.
Hopefully we did Cammie proud.
Oh, Cammie's awesome. She's awesome, man. So, yeah, cool. I feel like I've had a cathartic moment, man. I've had all this Prometheus stuff in me. Now it's out, and now I'm like, I'm done. You know, I'm gonna read some Justice League. You know? Old school. You know. So.
Hey, the local shop's got like some stupid early issues of Justice League on the wall right now, like half off.
Really, man? Like what early? Like what era?
Issue 6 of the Justice League. I think they're asking like $17 for it.
Oh wow, man! Are you talking pre-52?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's Silver Age Justice League. Yeah.
I looked up, man. A few weeks ago, these people bought this comic book shop up here, and they don't know what they're doing. I finally have accepted they don't know what they're doing, and I've tried to help them. But I got a bunch of Silver Age Justice League books in real nice shape for $0.25 a piece. I mean, $0.25. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I was looking at them. I shot a video in their store and looked at them and said $0.25 a piece, right? And they're like, yeah. Well, I got, you know, I'm sitting here thinking I got you recorded now. I got proof, you know.
Right.
If you guys ever, you know. I just bought a couple issues of Deadpool off of them, like issue 3 and 4, and I don't know, 2, 3, and 4 from the 90s from them for like $0.25 a piece. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, they just had them in a box. I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy.
I got them over here. Yeah, that's like the 4th or 5th time I've had those books.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem, man. So it's Tim and okay. I was going to start talking as your cat behind you.
So like I don't think that's how it works. Yeah, every once in a while I go to the library and I get trades, right?
Yeah.
I picked this up my last trip. This is my friend Dahmer, right?
Okay.
And it's like it's from the perspective of somebody that knew him when he was in high school. This
Oh,
book is
Jeffrey Dahmer.
yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
Oh,
This book is amazing. It doesn't make him sympathetic. You don't feel sorry for him or anything, but it's just the like the nature versus nurture
yeah.
kind of thing. Debate rages on in this book. This book is really, really, really good.
Ah,
Nice thick guy too. Cool read. That's it.
I'll check that out. Who does it say wrote that? Who did that?
Black Durf. Where is it? Black Durf.
Yeah, no idea, man. No idea, man. But
We call him Durf. Durf is a nickname.
Yeah. But it's good stuff. I recommend this. If you can find it, pick this up. This is really good.
oh, that's awesome. I'll show something real quick here, man. I picked up a whole bunch of these Spirit magazines. I traded a whole bunch of these paperback books. You got store credit,
Nice.
and these are like from the 70s and 80s. Kitchen Sink Press did a couple. It started out at Warren Publications. I can't recommend about getting these enough. I mean, they're just reprints from the 50s. But this issue here, I think they had a script that Will Eisner had, and they got. This is from 1981, and they got John Byrne, Terry Austin, Frank Miller, Richard Corbin, Marshall Rogers, Bill Sienkiewicz, and all these guys to come in and do the art in this. And this is in the cover is a big jam piece where everybody either drew their own character or they inked it and stuff.
Nice.
I mean, it's just got some great stuff in it, man.
That's pretty cool.
So, run across those, they're definitely worth getting. So. I heard about them for years, and I was like, I never thought I'd see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, like we were talking about earlier with Arthur Adams, Eisner's the same way. It's like people either love him or have no idea who he is. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I heard about the Spirit, but I never heard about Eisner growing up. This is like the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Tylock's Tyler, he said something about, did I hear about him in a Wizard magazine in the 90s, and I probably did. I don't know. But it's like once I heard about Eisner, it's like I couldn't get away from him, but I couldn't find any of his stuff.
Right.
I get some Spirit stuff about 3 or 4 years ago, some reprints, and I can't read Frank Miller anymore. Miller doesn't rip off Eisner. I mean, he's not an Eisner clone. It's just you can tell where he's getting his stuff, and it's now I feel like I'm getting watered down Spirit sometimes.
Right.
It didn't ruin Sin City for me, but I'm just kind of like, oh man, like oh no, I finally got around to reading some of this Miller Daredevil that everybody's been talking about for 30 years, and it reads like a grown-up Spirit. The femme fatales, Elektra, and you get into the Spirit had a ton of women in it that were femme fatales. And that's what Frank Miller did with Elektra. He just took some characters from Eisner's Spirit and wrapped them all into one person.
Yeah.
Man, Art Adams. We need to do a podcast on Art Adams. Is what we need to do. I didn't know people were like turned off by him.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't get it. It's like you have these people that collect like Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And they'll come to the issues that he did, and they're like, eh. Or like his X Factor stuff. Nobody ever really talks about that either, and that was amazing.
Yeah, the
I don't
trolls,
care.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, the trolls and the guy with the golden pen. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually a contest. Somebody said, I don't know, they had a contest in some book, and they never got around to giving that guy his prize, so they did that comic. I don't know why. Can you see me? But yeah, that makes sense, man, because I'm seeing those Art Adams, Fantastic Four, and X Factor issues in bins all the time. That's surprising me. I mean, how can you not like Art Adams? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Did you ever read his X-Men Asgardian stuff that he did with Claremont? Yes. Oh my God, that's like
picks up.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
That's like my favorite X-Men story of that time, man. That was amazing what he did in that New Mutant special, and having who was Storm had her version of Mjolnir, and she was like blowing away Wolverine, and he just keeps walking towards her with this.
Storm became the goddess of thunder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a Kiss song, you know. So, but
That's,
Goddess of Thunder. Yeah. I'm gonna start singing the song. The song's coming back to me now. You know. You got something about you. But
so
that was.
what do you?
Oh, go ahead, man. Yeah.
No, like next couple of weeks we do a Tom Strong one.
Yeah, we'll do a Tom Strong one. I'm all up for it. I got all that. Tom Strong, I don't need to go back and read, man. I remember those really well, man.
Cool.
Do you remember Tom Stone? That part where it was Tom Stone? Oh, okay, man. All right.
I don't think so.
That's
Might have
cool,
missed
man.
it.
Yeah, we'll do a Tom Strong one. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm all up for that, man.
Cool.
You let me know when you can do it, and I'll make the time. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I can do that. Yeah, my schedule lately has been crazy, but
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
And my phone is like blowing up on us. We've been getting comments on this video, but I can't see them. So.
Oh, I can't even.
Sorry.
My phone's going off over here too, but this Google Plus stuff, the app on it, it's messed up. I can't do anything on it. It actually freezes my phone up now. I found out.
Huh. Weird. Anyway.
All right, man.
Well, Tim, this was a lot of fun, man. We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, I
cool.
enjoyed it, man. Thanks for putting up with me, man. I talk a lot, I know, but you know, you feel free to you can smack me down anytime, you know.
That's cool. It's cool. Cool.
Oh man. Well, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad you want to do another one, man. And yeah, I'm definitely up for it. I'm gonna play around and get my Google, figure out what's going on with my Google, and maybe we can have it on my channel next time too. So
Right on.
do some cross promotion there. All right, brother. Okay, man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stop this real quick, but we can hang out if you want to.
Yeah, man.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Later, guys.